I like to place an order. Yeah. Hey, let me get a chicken box and a half and half. Alright, good looking out. I like to place an order. Yeah. Hey, let me get a chicken box and a half. Alright, good looking out. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. But before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright. Younger females like older men. So my smoothie is going to consist of switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. Shocking news. Sparkle should have been left R. Kelly after he said this to her. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to the chat. Salute to my moderators. Let me get this copyright disclaimer out the way. I will be dropping the link. This is an open panel demonstration. Feel free to click on the link and join me on the panel and voice your opinion if you may. Copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Now, many of us are aware of the R. Kelly case. Now, for me, I've always felt a certain kind of way about Sparkle. Well, I felt a certain kind of way about them all. But here's a receipt. Here's a receipt that you all can run with. I'm about to produce a receipt coming from Sparkle that lets you know without a shadow of a doubt that it definitely was a money grab. Definitely was a money grab. Because after this receipt, and the receipt has always been out there. So it's not a new receipt. Many probably just didn't pay it no mind, and then for others, it probably just went over their head. This receipt has been out for 6 years now that I know of. This is 6 years ago. Now, I want y'all to pay close attention to what her funky ass say. And if she don't get the award for a funky ass, I don't know what else to tell y'all. Pay attention to this funky ass. And y'all let me know what y'all think. I see y'all down there in the chat.
Meeting got along. Barry Hankerson was doing a lot of the talking. Robert did speak some. And what he said out of his mouth next, I almost sank down into the chair that I was sitting in. He stated to my parents, you know, your daughter's so fine, I jerk off just looking at her. To my mom and my dad. Do you know how I felt at that moment? my mom and my dad. You know what I mean? So that happened. We left the meeting. I was appalled. My dad spoke some words to me, which I won't repeat, but I should have listened to him. Just let me say that.
Now I'm going to stop right there. Now, for those in the back that didn't hear what she said that, and we're going to take a deep dive, but she said that R. Kelly said to her parents, her mom and her dad, while she was there, while she was present, he said to her mom and her dad that she is so pretty that he jacks off. And then, okay, well, what did your dad say? Well, my dad had some choice words, and I wish I would have listened to my dad. If that isn't a money grab, because see, I'm gonna tell y'all, if it was a shank rock, if it was a regular Joe blow off the streets, her dad would have beat the brakes off of Shank Rock. Her dad would have beat the brakes off of a Joe blow off the streets. No daddy, no father, whether it's the biological father, whether it's the stepfather, whether it's the weekend father, whether it's the father that's acting like the father. No man. No, that's disrespect. And I keep stressing it's certain things that men are not going to let slide. It's a level of disrespect no man is going to let slide. Now, this joker, R. Kelly, tells her mom and her dad that she's so pretty that he jacks off to her. Why didn't your dad beat the brakes off of him? Why didn't Mom Dukes tell your dad, handle that? Why didn't you? See, all this stuff with these women hanging around and staying around after the abuse, after they did this, after they did that, I'm not buying it. Let me backtrack this, man. I gotta backtrack this, y'all. And y'all will probably hear me backtracking it all through this demonstration. Who does this?
Doing a lot of the talking. Robert did speak some. And what he said out of his mouth next, I almost sank down into the chair that I was sitting in. He stated to my parents, you know, your daughter's so fine, I jerk off just looking at her.
How many of y'all remember this? Drop a one. I got this. Drop a one if y'all remember her saying this. Give me some ones for those that remember her saying this. The plot and setup was real. Facts. Salute, Tanya. Cook Shank. Facts. Peep gang. Her dad should have tipped R. Kelly up if this is true. She's lying her, you know what, off. Do y'all believe? Because she could be lying. See, we're going to really chop up what she got to say, because there's more. But this was the one that just stuck out. How many of y'all even believe her? Like, not like us as Cap. You feel me? Not like us. Come on now. My dad would have been like, Nick, who F you talking to? Come on. Come on. And the math ain't matching. It's not matching at all. Even we're going to go through the whole. Y'all got time? Y'all got time to hang around with me? I promise y'all I won't keep y'all up too late, because y'all know my funky ass. It's past my bedtime already. So y'all know I ain't gonna hold y'all but that long. But hang out with me for a few more minutes, y'all. Hang out with. She's lying. Jennifer says she's lying. Salute, Shank. I just can't see a father standing there and doing nothing. Exactly. It's very sickening. Hang out with me, y'all. Let's. You can't make this issue.
Information I didn't even know. But a few things that I particularly wanted to expound upon was the fact that I didn't leave my niece in the studio by herself. Number one. I saw her that evening walking into the studio to record for my album. And in seeing her, I was just like, wait, what you doing here? Who's with you? Because I didn't see anybody. And she was like, oh, I was dropped off. And I was like, huh? Immediately got on the phone with my sister. What y'all doing? Why is she down here by herself? And then maybe 30 minutes to an hour later, my brother-in-law was walking in the door. So I never, ever left my niece alone, anywhere for that matter. Another piece that I think was left out actually, is that I just introduced my niece to Robert, which was not true. Yes, I did introduce her, but I introduced a bevy of family to him. I introduced her correctly.
So which one is it? You didn't introduce her, but now you did introduce her. Well, I introduced her correctly. What's really going on? Rabbit hole goes deep for real, for real. She can't say what her father told her. BS. Now, she know he didn't say that in front of her parents. Anybody daddy would have knocked R. Kelly off his feet. And hey, y'all don't see, you ain't got a lot of kick it. You know, and this is what I'm saying when it comes to the R. Kelly case. Certain things, the math ain't mathing. Certain things just don't add up. You can sit back and you can be like, possibility, that probably happened. Possibility, that ain't happened. Nah, it's no way you're going to convince me that happened. It's a bunch of BS. But they already painted the narrative. They had already painted the narrative. Salute OG Patrice. Now I know OG Patrice, she might be able to fill us in on some of this information as well. She has some celebrity friends. OG Patrice, what's good with your girl Sparkle? But let's get back to more of this funky ass.
Her parents brought her down to the studio, and that's where the introduction happened. It wasn't her by herself. It wasn't me picking her up. And, you know, her parents came, and that's how the introduction happened. Like I stated, I introduced most of my family to Robert because we're a musical family. You know what I'm saying? And he had just gotten the green light on a new situation at Interscope Records, where he was taking me and where my debut album actually came from. And I wanted him to possibly put my family on, you know what I mean? Bless them like he was blessing me. Bring them into stardom as he was about to do with me. You know what I mean? So, and I didn't want to be selfish with my gift. I wanted to spread the love, like I stated, because we are a musical family. And, you know, maybe he could position them in some spots that were unfilled yet.
Now, let me just ask y'all this. Dana J, OG Patrice, and everybody else. Let me just ask y'all this. What happened to Sparkle's career? Can somebody tell me what happened to Sparkle's career? And if you come in my chat using profanity, my moderators is going to run your funky ass up out of here so fast. Moderators, we ain't playing with nobody's funky asses that uses profanity in my chat. All right? That's that. But what happened to Sparkle's career? Because what I just played before this, when she said, matter of fact, because OG Patrice and Dana J, they're very knowledgeable of the case. They're just pulling up. Let me backtrack what I played earlier for OG Patrice and Dana J. You can't make this issue. OG Patrice and Dana J, look at here.
Got along. Barry Hankerson was doing a lot of the talking. Robert did speak some. And what he said out of his mouth next, I almost sank down into the chair that I was sitting in. He stated to my parents, you know, your daughter's so fine, I jerk off just looking at her.
Dana J and OG Patrice, what do we have here? From what I heard, she got blacklisted after the Kells case. Now, what man in their right mind would say something like that around her parents? Dana says pay attention to her body language. So, see, and let me say this. Do I have to tell the truth? Yes, Dana J. Let me say this. And I always say this, and I always use this as an example. A man may not be a good husband. A man may not be a good boyfriend. He might be a good father. It's not fair for the wife. It's not fair for the girlfriend to tell the kids, your daddy ain't ish. He may not be a good husband. He may not be a good boyfriend, but he's a good father. So in this R. Kelly case, he may have done, according to him, because I always like to stick with what's in black and white. I always like to stick with what the individual says. Now, according to R. Kelly, he's guilty of mishandling his relationship with his girlfriends, whatever you want to call it. He never denied that. He never denied that. But just because he mishandled his relationships, do that means for anybody to push a false narrative on them? I ain't buying that. I'm not buying that R. Kelly sat in a meeting, because there was others that was there at that meeting. I'm not buying that R. Kelly sat in a meeting while you was there, while your mother and father was there, and R. Kelly tells your parents, your daughter is so beautiful, I jack off thinking about her. I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it, Cheryl. I'm not buying it. And I want us to take a deep, deep dive into this, because there are some out there that still feel as though R. Kelly is guilty based on a lie. Now, if it can be proven that he's guilty, right? If you can prove that he's guilty, if the government didn't have to use tricks, we went over the motion of new trial, correct? It's in black and white how the government used tricks, right? Intimidation. The government used R. Kelly's cell buddy, right? to confiscate attorney and inmate correspondence mail, so that way they know what the defense is thinking. It's a no-brainer. It's an easy win. If I got the playbook of my opponent, when my opponent run a play, I'm already 2 steps ahead of them. Right? But okay, I got Dana J. OG Patrice, if you can join us on the panel as well, come on up, OG Patrice, and talk to me and Dana. Dana J, talk to me, man. You didn't have me backtrack this. Out of all the things that you send me and all the things that you ain't had me backtrack this.
Nah, man, I got another one for you to backtrack too. I got one worse than that. But I'm gonna give you the real quick what is it? But a real quick sublimation of this. Sparkle got caught in the situation because Sparkle was originally dating Earl, and from public announcement, Earl wanted to be R. Kelly. So then Sparkle ended up creeping with Robert, and then from that point, Earl and Robert got into it. And I told you last night about the whole story about when a woman set up in a game that Robert played with him by wearing Earl overall jumper, and that's the jumper that Earl wear to work. Long story short, Robert took Sparkle to Interscope. Sparkle tried to play Robert because Robert said, if I'm going to be your producer, I don't want nobody else messing with my music that I give to you. Well, she played around and was trying to get another producer to add more stuff into R. Kelly flavor. R. Kelly told her, I'm done with you. I'm not writing no more for you. I'm not producing no more. Her album flopped. So then she tried to come back to Robert. When she tried to come back to Robert, Robert told her no. But she wanted to offer the cat to him, and he said, no, I'm done. And that's where the hatred comes from.
Because she even admitted as far as dealing with the dude from public announcement, correct?
Yeah, Earl. But the thing about it was she thought in the 2 hits that Robert did for her, Be Careful and the other one from the Life soundtrack, and she thought that she was going to eat off Robert and she was just going to use him to propel and then say hell with him. But then when her album flopped and she tried to go back to Rob and Rob wouldn't touch her, and the industry was like, if R. Kelly ain't going to touch you after doing 2 hot songs on you, we ain't going to touch you. And she wasn't able to land a deal since then. But then you got to look at it like this. People always wonder why I say Surviving R. Kelly was a joke. Javante Cunningham is attached to Sparkle. And Javante Cunningham dates Earl now, but she was, how can I say it? She was Sparkle's backup dancer. So also everything that she was saying on Surviving R. Kelly about R. Kelly and Aaliyah came from Sparkle, and none of it true. Once you realize that they are all connected some kind of way, then you'll sit back and say, oh, now I see the setup. Because Geronda lied on Robert, brought out a book, sued Robert, but they all went to Susan Loggins. Susan Loggins was the lawyer that always just got them money. Robert don't need to know. I can go deal with his attorney. His attorney will pay me out. Y'all get y'all money. Robert won't know what's going on. So that's where that went. And that's how that go. And it goes deeper. But I'm going to have to send you some more stuff over, Shank, so that way you can see for yourself where one of the lawyers, Sparkle's top lawyer, told her, don't bring me no more stuff about R. Kelly because you're trying to frame him.
Mm.
So I'm gonna send all that to you.
Now, you know Kelly, correct?
Oh yeah.
Does that sound like that something R. Kelly would do? Tell Sparkle's mom and dad, your daughter is so pretty.
That's a lie.
I jack off thinking of, I mean, come on now.
That's a lie. One thing about Robert is timid when it comes to people. Robert really don't like being around people, but he like being around people. And the thing about it is, in order for him to even joke with you like that, he got to be comfortable.
Right.
So the first time he meeting somebody, parents and saying something like that, Robert don't talk like that.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Robert don't discuss his sex life with nobody unless it's on an album,
right,
or a song.
Right.
And it's not depicting his life, it's the stuff that he talk about because that's what he was built up to do.
And see, we all go through this. Kelly, Dana, Frank, we all go through this.
Yeah.
The image that people have painted for us. When you get it, and I've been in this situation before. People will get around me and they'll say, Shane, you ain't nothing like so and so said you were. Shane, you down to earth. Shane, you cool. So, and I'm sure you go through that, Dana, and I'm sure everybody that's watching this go through this. There are people out there that are lying on your name right now. Yes,
of course. No? Of course. I'm in court about that now. And I'm gonna give you the haymaker real quick. I wish Robert would have listened, because Robert the type where he believes that everybody have nothing but good in them, and that if they do something bad, but that's just something that they doing at the time. So when it came out that not TMZ, but Lifetime was doing a Surviving R. Kelly, Robert took it as a joke. But when you really pay attention, and I didn't really pay attention to this until Robert got picked up. If you really pay attention, Ern Hall went through the same thing. And the labels, Zomba and I think it was RCA. Zomba and RCA got into a war. And Zomba made R. Kelly take Ern Hall's image. And nobody understood why until after R. Kelly came out with 12 Play. If you notice, a year after that, and before Ern Hall got to respond to that, he got locked up. And he got locked up for Trump charges of child pornography. And now, and you see that image, they came and got Kales after that too. But what I found out was Ern Hall refused to do a private concert and for Elton John. Well, let's fast forward. The first time Robert got blackballed was because he refused to do a concert for Elton John. If anybody know about Elton John, y'all know where this is going.
Yes.
Robert wasn't supposed to come back after TP2. Once Michael Jordan gave him that redeem list back, and he was able to come back with I Believe I Can Fly and everything else, then you start seeing all of the child porn charges and all that other stuff. Ern Hall, if you really pay attention, Ern Hall never recuperated from that. So when I tell you in the industry will build you up just to take you down, that's what all this is about.
Yes.
But bro, I gotta run. I'm hollering at you.
Appreciate you for pulling up. And
all right, love you, Rock Squad.
And the industry is famous for building you up and tearing you down. You know, that's a known fact. But let's get back into some more of Sparkle. I mean, you could just read between the lines. Let's get back to some more, y'all.
So I never, ever left my niece alone, anywhere for that matter. Another piece that I think was left out actually, is that I just introduced my niece to Robert, which was not true. Yes, I did introduce her, but I introduced a bevy of family to him. I introduced her correctly. Her parents brought her down to the studio, and that's where the introduction happened. It wasn't her by herself. It wasn't me picking her up, and her parents came, and that's how the introduction happened. Like I stated, I introduced most of my family to Robert because we're a musical family. You know what I'm saying? And he had just gotten the green light on a new situation at Interscope Records, where he was taking me, and where my debut album actually came from. And I wanted him to possibly put my family on, you know what I mean? Bless them like he was blessing me.
Right.
Bring them into stardom as he was about to do with me. You know what I mean? So, and I didn't want to be selfish with my gift. I wanted to spread the love, like I stated, because we are a musical family. And, maybe he could position them in some spots that were unfilled yet. Because having a new situation, you're going to need some bodies, right? You're going to need some, extra hands or some extra artists. So, my niece was a dope rapper at the time. My other nieces and nephews that I introduced him to also.
Your niece was a pawn. Nothing more, nothing less. Your niece was a pawn.
They had great success overseas. And so maybe he can bring them on, as artists. My brother-in-law, who I introduced him to, which was my niece on the tape's father, he plays guitar, dope guitarist. I begged Robert to give him, a try. He did, and he's on many of his CDs now. So yeah, that's another thing that I wanted to clear up. And also about the Andrea situation, Robert's ex-wife, the situation where I speak about, I hear somebody knocking, and he does a come on, she peeps out and says, "Can I come get something to eat?" She's coming down the stairs, and I am staring at Robert like, how dare you?
Why would you be staring at Robert? Why would you have an issue with Robert? According to you, you didn't look at Robert like that. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm reaching. But why did you get mad? I'll tell you why you got mad. Because you wanted the #1 spot. You wanted the #1 spot. Salute, Suntan. That's even if what you're saying is true. Lies. Okay, I respect you might feel like she was a pawn, but at the same time, he was a grown man messing with a child. Okay, okay, we're gonna stay right there. We're gonna stay right there. Now, when you say that he was a grown man messing with a child, who are you referring to, Miss Minnie? Because I want to make sure we on the same page. Who are you referring to was a child? Are you referring that Sparkle was a child or the niece? Sparkle's niece. So I'm making reference to Sparkle as far as Sparkle being upset when the ex-wife came, when the wife came. I wasn't referring to the niece, Miss Minnie. Jealousy is real. Sparkle's niece. See, people don't research. You not reaching. You on the money. I'm confused. Her niece testified at his trial that it wasn't her in the video. Bingo. And she's even going to speak on that as well. That's why I'm still trying to fathom I'm still trying to put it all together. How was they able to get a conviction? But of course, reading the motions for the new trial, we see why they were able to get a conviction. This case, R. Kelly should be free. R. Kelly should be free. Why do she keep saying she was in the video when she said several times out of her own mouth that wasn't her on the tape? Facts. Facts. Corruption. Facts.
How dare you? You are a piece of work. And he saw the state. He felt me because he kept looking at TV, right? But when he felt it, he looked over at me and he just started. And I was like, forgive my language, nigga, that shit ain't funny. And I said those words to him. And I said, how dare you? So I wanted to clear that up. So.
It says, were you suspicious of R. Kelly before knowing his interactions with your niece? Miss T says, yes, he should. Jennifer says, yes, Miss TT, you're right. The 2008 trial, she got Section 8 for life. So let's hear her answer. Were you suspicious of R. Kelly before knowing his interactions with your niece?
Let's go there. 89, I met Robert. A girlfriend of mine took me down to the studio and she wanted me to sing for him. I didn't sing that particular time. So 89 to 92 had no really interaction with Robert at all. I would see him out in clubs here and there, whatever, but no interaction. 92, I started dating one of the guys in Public Announcement, which led me back to Robert. And he got to hear me sing at that particular time and wanted me to come down to the studio to sing some backgrounds for a new artist that he was working with. Unbeknownst to me, it was Aaliyah. Got to work and do most of the backgrounds on her album, except for AJ Number But a Number. You know, and at that point, I was working a 9-to-5 job, okay? I was leaving that job, coming to the studio to do another job. And there was very little, me and Aaliyah interacted, you know, a little bit, but I was there to do a job. So there wasn't much interaction. She was around the studio. There were 3 other girls who Robert had brought on prior to me, and they were called, they were the group called Second Chapter. I don't know if you listen to Aaliyah's first album and you hear reference of the group Second Chapter. Those are the girls who were backing Aaliyah up, kind of like a R. Kelly in Public Announcement, if you will. So yeah, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary in that time. This was 92 when I came back around and I started singing the backgrounds for her debut album. Now, mind you, her uncle, Barry Hankerson, is there. He's Robert's manager. Her parents are there. I wasn't thinking of, or even think to look for anything, you know, at that particular time. So, you know, I was there to do the job. Like I said, I would go home, come back, and do the, you know, same job over and over again until we were done with the Aaliyah project. And then I had no connection or any, you know, dealings with Robert until 1996. So I wasn't there a steady period of time to see anything, you know what I mean? And in 96, when I was called upon to do more background, I, you know, was singing in the studio, doing the background, what have you. And 2 songs in, he came into the booth with me and he was like, look, we're not just going to be working on anybody's CD this time. This is yours. And I'm like, yo, whoa. All right, let's go. You know, of course, I was elated by it because I'm like, yo, I'm about to work on my own stuff now. This is about to be great. So that happened, 96, going to 97 is, I want to say 97 is the year I introduced my niece to him. Early 97, I do believe. And then there was a hiccup. And the hiccup was I had a boyfriend. Robert didn't want me to have a boyfriend. Now,
now she got a boyfriend. Listen now, listen. All right. Listen, game recognized game. Everybody knows what this is. Everybody, now, some might say Shank, he took advantage of these women. All right. However, these females, these ladies, they knew what it was. She came to R. Kelly for one purpose and one purpose only. She was with my man from Public Announcement. He wasn't the big fish, right? Who's the big fish? R. Kelly. She just said it herself. She had a boyfriend, right? What kind of games have you been running, Sparkle? See, it's a difference between a virtuous woman. It's a difference between a woman that's trying to live a righteous life. It's a difference between an independent woman that is focused and is on her A game. It's a difference between a single mother that's raising her children alone. It's a difference with those women compared to these women. I believe today they call them 304s. My days, they called them gold diggers, skeezers. And this is the vibe that she's giving off. A gold digger, a skeezer. She knew. And most females, not all, but most females that come into the music industry, I've dealt with them before. That's how I know. I've seen females come in the industry. They come in with a boyfriend. When they meet me or when they meet other individuals that's in the industry and we are higher up the food chain, they drop their boyfriend. I've had females that dropped their boyfriends, good, decent boyfriends they had. And I would ask them, what you want with my funky ass? Because I was funky as a MFer back in the days. The only thing that I wanted from a female was physical activity or money. So me knowing that they got a boyfriend, I'm going to do what? I'm going to treat them. I'm going to give them what they hand deserves. R. Kelly was a money bag. And when it didn't go the way that she wanted it to go, when she couldn't be the number one, she sought out to tear R. Kelly down. And I think Sparkle is a disgrace because there are victims out there. But I ain't buying that she is a victim. It's too many holes in her story. It's too many. Let me backtrack. She got a boyfriend. R. Kelly didn't like because she had a boyfriend. I wonder why. You see how her narcissistic behavior, she won't take accountability for nothing. It's Robert. Well, why was your funky ass, what was your funky ass doing there with Robert in the first place?
And then there was a hiccup. And the hiccup was I had a boyfriend. Robert didn't want me to have a boyfriend. Now, mind you, Robert liked me, of course. Not of course, but Robert liked me. And I wasn't giving in to his advances toward me. You know, he was a handsome guy, but I wouldn't go there.
Well, why did you hang around? Okay, you know this man like you. Why did you hang around? You know, by him liking me, and I'm not feeling him, and I'm not trying to go there with him. He's going to be expecting something from me. He's going to be expecting some kitty cat from me. Come on, Sparkle. I ain't buying it. You played along with setting R. Kelly up. You used all of this to your advantage. I could see it in your eyes. I could see it in your eyes. And you was dealing with my man, Earl, from Public Announcement. What happened to him? What happened to Earl?
You know what I mean? And it was just something about him too. But anywho, there was a situation where Robert had told me that he was taking only me to Interscope Records and not the other acts that he had kind of brought in. They would be staying on Jive Records. So now I told someone about this, and that person went back and told Robert that I told. Then the fact that I had a boyfriend, he didn't want me to have a boyfriend. This all played into his, I guess, insecurity. And he decided to take my deal away from me. And this went on for some months. We didn't speak. He didn't call. I didn't call him. And then a meeting was to take place. Someone called a meeting to get us back into good graces. And I'm certain it was probably something to do with Interscope Records, because they had spent out a pretty penny on me. I had done the Be Careful video already. The promotions and stuff had kind of started. So they would be losing money if he were to do this. So a meeting was called, and we met at a hotel near the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Barry Hengerson, which was his manager at the time, Robert, me, and I wanted my parents to come with me. Then my sister with the girl in the tape and my brother-in-law also came, because now they're like this. They thick as thieves right now. Without me, I'm not in the picture. You know what I mean? They stayed. And a couple other family members also were there. Barry Hankerson and Robert, me, and my parents. The meeting got along. Barry Hankerson was doing a lot of the talking. Robert did speak some. And what he said out of his mouth next, I almost sank down into the chair that I was sitting in.
For those that are just pulling up, are y'all ready to hear this? Are y'all ready to hear what R. Kelly said to her? Brace yourself. Put on your seatbelts. Brace yourself. Listen to what she says R. Kelly said to her.
He stated to my parents, your daughter's so fine, I jerk off just looking at her. To my mom and my dad. Do you know how I felt at that moment? My mom and my dad, you know what I mean? So
she laughing. Come on, man. See, and this is just my opinion. Ladies, correct me if I'm wrong. That sounds like it was traumatized. It was a traumatized incident. Where's the Kleenex? Where's the tears of you having to revisit that? Can you get me some tissues? I've seen it when women have to revisit situations like this. They not smiling about it. They not laughing about it. They got some tissues. or they might be wiping their eyes themselves. Can you give me a minute? And he said, but you don't see none of that. The eyes don't lie. The body language, it don't lie. Look at her body language. Why in the hell is she cheesing? Miss T, Stacy, Red, what is she cheesing for? You can't make this ish up.
And my dad. Do you know how I felt at that moment? To the chair that I was sitting in. He stated to my parents, you know, your daughter's so fine, I jerk off just looking at her. To my mom and my dad. Do you know how I felt at that moment? My mom and my dad, you know what I mean?
Fuck out of here. Got me dropping F-bombs up here. Lying behind off. Ain't none. There ain't none because she lying. Facts. I think I would have teared up telling that story. Man, I love you so much, Shank. I love you back, Red. She lying. You cooking, Shank. Stank, you know what. Yep, she messed up now. She big mad. I mean, you can't make it up. Let's look at her. She haven't shed not one tear. You can't make this up. Her little niece was in a group that R. Kelly produced. The little niece was the lead singer. That's the little girl in the video with him. They couldn't get him back in the days for the little girl. These characters full of you know what. Sheik says lie. Red says her funky ass. Funky ass to the fifth power, Red.
So that happened. We left the meeting. I was appalled. My dad spoke some words to me, which I won't repeat, but I should have listened to him. Just let me say that.
Yeah.
Then we kind of didn't really gel that well, but I came back on. Then 99 happened. And
now, if this man disrespected you, disrespected your parents, disrespected you in front of your parents, and you come back, Sparkle should have been left R. Kelly after he said that. Her own words. We wasn't gelling, but I came back. You came back. Don't sound like a victim to me. Because a victim, once a victim gets away, they ain't coming back. You sat up there and you lied. You sat up there and you plotted to bring down Kelly. Salute, Renata. You plotted to bring him down. And that ain't fair. That part.
I was starting to work on my second album. I asked to be released from him in 99 because it wasn't a happy place for me anymore. And because he was trying to insert himself in my personal life. And I wasn't cool with that. So I asked to be released. He finally granted me the release. And then I went on to Motown. So I had nothing to do with him from that point on. Later on, mid 2001, I get a phone call, two actually, from two separate people in Robert's camp. And they stated to me, yo, you need to see what's up. Your niece is down here by herself. Something don't look right, something not right. You need to check this out. So what I did was I called my sister and I screamed at her, like, what you on? You know, what's going on? What are you doing? I'm hearing rumblings that my niece is down there by herself. What's up?
See how she keeps smiling? What's funny? Are y'all noticing? You see how she keeps smirking and smiling? What's funny?
So she was like, oh no, everything is cool, you know, nothing is going on, you know, just oblivious, naive, or whatever she is at this point. And so what I did next was I myself, along with two of my girlfriends, called the Department of Children and Family Services. Now, this is before the tape even surfaced or me even knowing anything about a tape. I called them because I wanted them to check some stuff out. And they did. They came out to my parents' house. They spoke to my sister-in-law, my sister and my brother-in-law and my niece. And my brother-in-law stated to them, oh, nothing is going on. No, 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 because if anything was going on, I would deal with him. Okay. So, of course, they felt that I'm the culprit. I did that deed. I called that number and had them investigated, you know. So now they've taken a back seat and I'm not included on anything at this point. If I enter the room, it's crickets. You know what I mean? Late 2001, probably September-ish, my family had a bowling party and I end up going to it. And guess who's there? Robert.
It's like a joke. It's like a game to her. What's funny? It's like a game. Guess who's there? Robert. What? Man. Lord have mercy. Let's look. It's a game. It's nothing but a game to her. Not one tear. Guess who's there? Robert.
And I'm like uneasy and I want to snap off, but it's too many people there. And if I were to do anything, you know, it would be crazy up in there. So we did have a few words and he was like, yo, you know, we still family, you know, yeah, here go my number. Won't you call me? You can come down to the studio. It's still what it is. I ain't call him. I ain't go to no studio.
This. I got one more. I think this is it right here. I'm gonna run this, and then we gonna get out of here, y'all. But you can't make this ish up. You can't make this ish up.
You know, I don't know. And it boggles me to today. And I'd be thinking like, okay, does he have something on them? Is he threatening them? Did they sign some type of non-disclosure agreement where they can't talk? Like, what is it? I really want to know because there would be no way for me not to protect my daughter. You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? So I don't know. I don't know. I hope so. Like, he's clearly done this to a host of girls, women. Like, I hope so. I hope this time, you know, now that I have some help, now that I got some people behind me, like, come on, y'all. Let's stand for something. Let's not just let this go by the wayside again. You know, I stood alone from 2001 to today. You know, people are coming out now. People are, you know, having the oomph to speak out now. thankfully. And I'm happy about it. I'm happy for the movements. I'm happy for the Me Too and the Time's Up, but I wish I had that back then, because I'm sure we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this today. It could be that I have a bigger name than he, that my light shines a little brighter. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but to me, I feel like Black women, and I stated this on the Surviving R. Kelly piece, that we don't get the same recognition than our white counterparts. And I truly believe that, because I feel like they don't give a two hoots about us, really. And, we care so much about our brothers that I wish they would care that much about us.
I'm not going to allow your funky ass to use that excuse. Yeah, some cases, white women will get a different turnout than Black women. Some cases, Black men don't have Black women's backs. Some cases, all right? But not this case. Not this case. And I'm not going to allow her funky ass to use this for her case. It ain't got nothing to do with white women getting better treatment than Black women. It ain't got nothing to do with Black men not being there to have Black women's back. This has to do with a Black woman that's set out to take down a Black man. I stand on that. When it comes to Sparkle, I stand on that. Sparkle's agenda was to take down R. Kelly.
It's baffling. It's disheartening. It's a lot of different adjectives. I just, it's hurtful into it at times. But, I think also that people don't want to see the Jolly Green Giant fall in Robert. That's what I'm calling him. He's been that it guy for our generation, for singers, that they don't want to see him fall by any means. So if he's doing something to some young girl, okay, well, let's just turn a blind eye to it.
What do you have to say about people thinking you're being opportunistic for recently releasing a single? I'm dying to hear her response to this.
You know what? People gonna say what they're gonna say, and they've been saying it for forever. I did not. I have been working on my new EP since late 2017. The documentary didn't come to me until February, March. They approached me then. I had a few songs in the can already that I was going to release before this song we already came out. I went back in the studio after I agreed to do the documentary because I wanted to speak to this moment, to this time, to empower us women, to say, girl, I got you. Girl, stand on my shoulders. If you too afraid to speak up, I'll hold your hand and I'll speak for you. I wanted to speak to that moment. And, if I was to come out with a club joint, y'all be looking at me crazy. Like, what's she talking about? I'm talking about this moment. I'm talking about the moment that I'm in. I'm talking about the moment that I took hits for. I took, my career. I laid down my career for this. You know, I took many hits for this. So, you know, for them to say that, you know, say what you're going to say. But also, the song, I am giving back with this song. You know what I mean? A percentage of the proceeds are going to houses that, you know, specifically deal with abused women, sexual abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. So I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.
What happened to your career after the trial?
You know, they would like to have kept me silent. And, you know, for a time I did go away. You know, I'm just thinking back, and I moved to Vegas, Las Vegas. So it was a woman who came and picked me up off the floor and said, "Come on out here, girl. I got a gig for you so you can eat." My big sis mentor, Tony Braxton, and the Braxtons, they were, other than my partner in life and in business, he and his family having my back and holding me up, the Braxtons were definitely there as a sisterhood. Because at this point, I have no sisters. They ain't talking to me. None of my family is speaking to me, except for one of my brothers. And he's had my back from day one, Benny. But they held me up. Tony told me, "Come out there. You know, I got you." And I did her show with her on the Strip for 3 years and loved them for it, because they were the only ones really who had my back as well.
What brought you and your family back together?
So from 01 to 2011, didn't have no dealings with them. You know, I would come and visit my parents here and there, and if they were there, they would quickly leave. Got to get up out of here, you know. But what brought us back together in 2011 was my parents' 50th anniversary. And we put them a big shindig on for their 50th. And it brought us back together in a big way. And from 2011 till right when the trailer dropped for this thing, we've been rocking. I lost my mom October. And yeah, after we laid her to rest, 2 days later, the trailer dropped. And then we were back right where we were, as if it was 01 again. And even worse, because now we're older. You know what I mean?
How do you feel about the wave of celebrities speaking out?
I hope it's legit. I hope they are really.
See, you see, now they asked her what she say. I hope it's legit. What? That's a part of being a narcissist. You're a victim, but nobody else is a victim. Why would you even throw that out there? I hope that they're being sincere, but you want us to believe that your ass is sincere. Can't make this ish up, y'all. Only got a little bit more, then we're going to get out of here. Let's backtrack.
I hope it's legit. I hope they are really speaking out for us and wanting to get behind us. But I think they're doing that to, some of them are doing that in hopes that some light won't be shined on them, because maybe they too have been a party to some of the shenanigans, whether it be that craziness that Robert is into or something different. You know what I mean? But I really hope that they're legitimate in their wanting to speak up and speak out and get behind me. You know what I mean? But I ain't heard from nobody. You know.
It must be a reason why you ain't heard from nobody. Obviously, they don't believe you. Because I don't believe you. I didn't believe it from the very beginning. I never believed it. I'm going to take a few comments and then we're going to get out of here. No hits after R. Kelly. She wanted to marry R. Kelly. No hits after Kelly. She thought it would put a spark up her career. She big mad at R. Kelly because you lied. Sparkle, stop lying. Facts. Salute, Tyson. TT says, I don't believe her at all. I'm with you, TT. And usually I give a person the benefit of the doubt. I can't give that the benefit. I can't give that the benefit of the doubt. I can't. You know, I can't. Free R. Kelly. Free R. Kelly. It's not until you, like I said, now for those that's been following this case from the beginning all the way up until now, I took a break. I followed it from the beginning, but then I took a break. But once you know this case, you can see all the holes in it. Like they got R. Kelly. They railroaded R. Kelly. You know, like I said, is he guilty of some things? Yeah, he's guilty of some things. But he's not guilty of what they have him charged for. Yes, free him. We went over the motion of a new trial. We're on, I believe, page 13, and it's 17 more pages left. So I'm going to be going over the rest of those pages on my up and coming demonstrations because I want to get through all of them. But it's sad. It's sad. It's really sad. I appreciate everybody for rocking out with me. It's past my bedtime. Salute everybody. I'll leave the chat running, and I will see you all back tomorrow. Salute everybody.
Wait, why is it so dark in here? I can't feel my legs. Why can't I feel my arms? What's happening?
Dice, I need you, man.
Don't call my real phone with that bullshit, my nigga.
I need to get out of town, man.
Goddamn, dog.